been rather long. There's no freaking way I'll be your lover unless was in the summer 2025 season, so last the big Yuri anime, which I'd argue gets eclipsed um in later seasons, sort of, or more recent seasons by Botan Kamina Fully Blossoms When Drunk, and with a lesser degree as of the summer 2026 season, Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games anime. Um, but that said, There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover was definitely the big disaster lesbian show of that season, and ultimately I think is a season that worked out well. I enjoyed what I watched, but I figured let's talk about that further and talk about why I liked it. The series follows Renako Amori, a high school girl and extreme social introvert who spent much of middle school as a hikikomori, likely, or not likely, clearly due to social anxiety, and is trying to have a fresh start in high school. Things turn out more than she anticipated when she ends up in a romantic relationship with a glamorous Ojo-sama, Mai Ouka, leading to lesbian tension with some of the other girls in her class. The writing of the series is very nicely done. Rineko's social anxiety is presented in the context of her basically developing a polycule of romantic interests born out of her not entirely understanding her own sexual identity because she's never been in a position to think of herself in that way. Not just in terms of, oh, I don't know who I find romantically interested to, but rather, I don't feel confident of being in a position to exchange romantic feelings for anyone due to social anxiety. And this also, it makes sense for why she wouldn't have developed this identity in the past. And in turn, she does not have the skill set to adjust for any of this. Beyond the usual hormonal elements of being a teenager in high school, there is a certain element of lacking social skills and social context, and having had to experience these feelings around your peers and taking those feelings and properly interpreting them or trying to interpret them with varying degrees of success. It all makes for a nice change from a harem polycule series where the protagonist is deliberately presented as a generic blank slate for the audience to project themselves onto. Although you could argue that she sort of serves as a blank slate for audience members who have social anxiety to project themselves onto, but in which case, people with social anxiety feeling seen is not a bad thing. Additionally, each of the romantic interests, or possible romantic interests for Renako, have interiority. They have their own interests and hopes and fears that are separate from the relationships with Renako, though not necessarily from the relationships with each other, which is what I want in a romance series. I want romantic interests who have lives that existed before they met the protagonist, and ideally have lives outside of the protagonist's life. There's a real sense of that here. The animation is also fantastic, with lots of really great shots of the characters, with tremendous uses of lighting and framing, including letterboxing, to provide real senses of mood. Studio Mother, who took point on this, is a relatively new studio. They'd previously done More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers, which I watched in part, but eventually dropped, but I didn't drop that show because of animation issues. I dropped that show because of narrative problems from the source material. Still, looking at that series and this one, it's clear that they have a passion for animating cute girls and animating romantic comedies, and that carried over to the concluding second little mini season of this series, which really sticks the landing on the ending and made me look forward to whatever project Studio Mother works on next. Now, I think part of the reason that perhaps There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover less didn't get the same level of buzz that I think other shows have gotten is while it got was distributed initially on YouTube, it was distributed with a 1 week expiration date. However, now it is available for streaming on Tubi and Amazon Prime as of this recording. So now you can just watch it all and be able to enjoy it at your own pace rather than potentially having to rush get to it before the current episode expires and the next episode comes out. The series is also based on series of novels, which have also been licensed and translated in English. Those are available through Amazon and bookshop.org and Books A Million. Links to all those places in the show notes.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Tossing me a few bucks also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.